Stop imagining the monarchy as a stately chessboard. Think Jenga on a yacht in gale force wind. One rotten block loosens, the whole tower slants, and somewhere below decks a panicked steward yells, "Brace, brace, air miles." Andy just splintered the keel. That's the mood rampaging through Buckingham this week, after advance pages of entitled "The Rise and Fall of the House of York" slipped past courtiers' firewalls and detonated like shrapnel in the Privy Council chamber. The book is a powder keg of familiar sins, Epstein soirees, Chinese spy playdates, champagne diplomacy billed to taxpayers, but it's the fresh fuse lines that keep Charles's aides stamping their brogues in panic. A fist fight with Prince Harry. Denied, perhaps. Backstairs slurs about Meghan. Vaporized by Sussex spokespeople, yet still pungent enough to make Kensington windows rattle. Each claim may wither under cross-examination, but oxygen is cheap on social media, and Andrew's reputation combusts at the faintest spark. So, in the gilded salons where protocol usually whispers, a new word now hisses, to Prince, to strip not just the dukedom, not just the fatigued Her Royal Highness, but the very birth-style Prince that tethered Andrew to majesty from cradle to grey-haired disgrace. A rule hidden in parchment. Few beyond Westminster archivists recall the mechanism. Parliament, by Act, can erase a royal title as surgically as it once dissolved Henry VIII's marriages. It happened to German dukes in 1917. It could happen again, if both houses vote aye and the sovereign signs away his brother's final shred of status. Charles, ever the cautious gardener, has trimmed branches before, military rolls returned, allowances cancelled, but to fell the entire tree. He hesitates, haunted by his mother's credo, family first, lest the institution devour itself. Yet advisers warn hesitation is now a luxury scarcer than serenity at Royal Lodge. Every fresh headline rewinds the monarchy to 2019's Newsnight catastrophe. Tory backbenchers mutter about public fund misuse. Republican hashtags blossom like mold on palace stone. If MPs drag trade envoy expenses into committee, Buckingham may face the one storm even Balmoral walls cannot weather: audited rage. Charles versus the clock. The King's oncologists schedule his chemo in fiercely guarded blocks. Between infusions he paces Highgrove libraries, dossiers in hand, weighing two nightmares: let Andrew fester and poison credibility, or wield the axe and be immortalized as the brother who cannibalized the dynasty while fighting cancer. Courtiers stage rehearsal scenarios. Scenario Cedar: slow bleed exile, mandatory Royal Lodge repairs, no public sightings, Andrew fades into tweed-clad obscurity. Scenario Iron: immediate title strip, parliamentary bill fast-tracked, York erased like a misstitched cipher. Scenario Glass: stall until William ascends, let the son, unburdened by fraternal guilt, swing the sword. Each option pulses with peril, and time is thin as parchment. William's shadow cabinet. Across the park, at Adelaide Cottage, Prince William fine-tunes his own war map. Sources close to the heir say he's ruthless by necessity, convinced the Instagram century gives zero grace to half measures. His already iced Easter invitations, vetoed lodge roof bailouts, and told confidants the York chapter must close before Charlotte learns to spell scandal. Biographer Christopher Wilson calls it the making of a modern Henry V, only without Agincourt's clarifying mud. William's allies in Parliament quietly count votes. Sympathetic MPs draft framings of public trust and modern accountability. They are prepared, one senior whip says, to move within a fortnight of accession. Courts, they insist, cannot outpace the comment section. The last redoubt at Royal Lodge. Inside the fading grandeur of the 30-room mansion, Andrew and Sarah cling to routine: dawn rides, late-night Netflix, whispered phone calls to lawyers who bill by the hour. Fergie, knee-deep in TikTok promo for her latest romance novel, publicly grins, but privately calculates real estate listings in Portugal. The Duke pores over trust documents, seeking clauses to slow an eviction he regards as fratricide. He speaks of chivalric honor and trial by media, blind to the optics of a £200,000 roof leak and staff culled for cost-cutting. Even the corgis sniff decay in corridor carpets. Palace chess, or guillotine theatre. Meanwhile the mechanism slouches from footnote into front row. A draft titles deprivation, modern, bill circulates among constitutional lawyers. Its preamble cites sustained reputational damage and failure of duty. One clause permits restoration, on advice of the Privy Council subject to demonstrable reform, a fig leaf destined never to sprout. Lobbyists weigh in, monarchists beg caution, Republicans cheer, tabloids sharpen font sizes. A poll lands on Charles S. Blotter. 61% of Britons support removing Andrew's royal titles if fresh financial impropriety emerges. Only 14% oppose. Among ages 18 to 30, support climbs to 72%. The king exhales. Numbers rarely lie, but they seldom carry the weight of blood. The trigger moment. Observers agree on one tipping point. If Parliament snares concrete evidence Andrew leveraged envoy status for private deals, ski slope stopovers, golf course conferences, the dam breaks. That evidence may sit in a dusty Foreign Office safe, or on a trade mission expense spreadsheet begging FOI release. MPs are already sniffing. A single leaked invoice, one helicopter hop to Courchevel stamped official will ignite the bill. Fallout forecast. If deprincing proceeds, the ripples will redraw royal maps. The York daughters retain courtesy princess titles, but lose of York, shifting to Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice and Her Royal Highness Princess Eugenie only, no territorial designations, no House of York marketing clout. Security reviews follow. Andrew's police detail downgraded to private hire. Royal Lodge, no longer a prince's seat, reverts to Crown Estate tenancy at market rate, or hands to a trust for mental health veterans, William's preferred plan. Andrea leads vanish from order of precedence. York Arms cease quartering royal supporters. The line of succession numbers adjust, though the bloodline stands. Historians scribble addenda, coin collectors salivate for misminted commemoratives. Andrew's counter-move. Could the Duke sue? Constitutional scholars say litigation against sibling and sovereign is doomed theatre, but Andrew's record on optics is already theatrical. He might gamble on Strasbourg human rights courts, citing family discrimination. Palace thinks he lacks funding and will fold under settlement. Fergie might salvage a docu-series, Life After Her Royal Highness, but streaming executives whisper #Epstein algorithms turn that pitch radioactive. Charles S. Midnight Garden. The king tarries. At twilight he walks Highgrove's thyme avenues, palms lavender stalks, hears distant rooks debating fate. Somewhere behind a yew arch sits the draft decree awaiting his signature, should Parliament ask consent. Charles caresses the vellum, ink smells faintly metallic. He recalls Elizabeth II's creed of unconditional maternal salvage, and the nights she nonetheless banished her sister's love from marriage, her nephew from robes, her grandson from palace staff lists. Monarchs sometimes must cauterize. Yet he also recalls the pledge he murmured beside his mother's coffin, to hold family together, whatever storms. Between these vows hangs the pen. Endgame scenarios. If Charles signs, the monarchy gains sharp modern teeth at cost of fraternal mercy. Critics hail decisive reform. Memorial plaques quietly replace Andrew's name with Latin absences. William inherits a leaner firm, unsentimental, ready for TikTok monarchy battles. If Charles stalls, William inherits the sword and wields it swiftly, branding his reign with inaugural ruthlessness. Charles's legacy becomes that of delaying surgeon, not daring architect. If evidence fizzles, Andrew rots in semishadow, titles intact, but value eroded, an unpaid bill metastatic, but contained. The monarchy gambles on public apathy outrunning outrage. Somewhere tonight a Comres researcher calls random voters. Should Parliament strip Prince Andrew of his title if wrongdoing proven? Replies tally, algorithms watch. In Royal Lodge, curtains twitch. A disgraced Duke counts allies dwindling like autumn grouse. At Kensington, William reviews emergency talking points and whispers to Kate that the future sometimes demands pruning branches even when sap still flows. And in Highgrove's night garden, Charles leaves the vellum unsigned, slips secateurs into pockets, and tells the moon, another day. But even he knows tempests wait for no gardener, and a parliament sharpening its shears may soon hand him the bill he can no longer defer.